So you want to know how to grow your brand as a filmmaker. Maybe you're in the filmmaking industry already and you're looking to figure out how to scale, how to get more opportunities, bigger projects, get more well-known. Or maybe you're just starting and you don't really know what it means to be a filmmaker. You like the idea of video creation and you want to lean into that creative pathway, but you're not entirely sure what it means to be a filmmaker or how to make money as a filmmaker. I want to help you out regardless of the stage you're in. My name is Tony Martinez. If you've never heard of me, I am an entrepreneur, an investor, and a content creator on the eastern side of the US. I have done this from when I was in high school to date. I am actively working in and outside of the businesses and brands that I've started. And I've seen the good, I've seen the bad. I know what works when it comes to building businesses. And I'll give you a lot of insight I can give you a lot of insight from my personal experience when it comes to how to build a brand and how to build a niche brand. I would call filmmaking a niche brand, but you can niche down even more than just filmmaking. But there's a lot to cover. And this video today, this one right here, I believe a big portion of it will revolve around mindset. I'll go over really practical things too, practical steps and frameworks that I've built out, that I've applied to make hundreds of thousands of dollars in each of my niches. But for the most part, I believe mindset is the most important foundation that you can build when you're starting to build a brand. And if you're a filmmaker and your goal is to, grow your filmmaker brand, then you really have to have your mindset down packed. You need to have a clear vision. And, there's a verse, the people without vision perish. People without vision perish. Verifying that. Without a clear God-given purpose or direction, people lose restraint, they wander aimlessly, and they fail to thrive. Proverbs 29:18. Where there's no vision, the people perish. And that's true. So when I say mindset, I really just mean a clear vision of what your goal is as a filmmaker. And that's the first question that I would ask anyone who comes to me that says they want to build their filmmaker brand. What is filmmaking? There's a lot. It's 2026. Video creation, like content creation, kind of got mixed in with the phrase filmmaking, and those terms are kind of used synonymously. I think traditionally the word filmmaking, filmmaker, films, I would say that they apply to movies, to narrative movies, to commercial films that have plots and scripts and actors and crew. I think on a traditional sense, filmmaking is an organized manner that videos are created. But you could also say, you could argue that content creation is filmmaking. You could argue that social media content is filmmaking. There's a lot of incredible filmmakers that make social media content that aren't necessarily films, but they're content. Traditionally, all of the basics of filmmaking traditionally are like you have actors, you have writers, you have producers, you have DPs, ACs, grips, gaffers, makeup, hair makeup, audio ops. There's so many roles that big budget films roster. A lot of the time when you're doing things alone or when you have a bare bones skeleton crew, a lot of people play different roles, but no matter the size of your set, the size of your operation, if the end result is a video, I would say you can make money doing that and you can build a filmmaker brand. And whatever direction you're leaning, whether it's traditional narrative filmmaking or commercial filmmaking or content creation, marketing, whatever it is, you can make money and build a filmmaker brand, a video brand with video, with film. And So my initial question is, what avenue do you want to take? And this isn't something that you just set in stone and you write it in stone and it's over and it's done. This is something that evolves over time. But if you want high impact fast, you have to pick a lane. Pick a lane and niche down. What does it mean to pick a lane? If you want to get into narrative filmmaking, you have to really lean into only working narrative filmmaking sets and only leaning towards opportunities where more doors would open for narrative film sets, narrative film projects, narrative film work. If your goal is commercial filmmaking, you do the exact same thing. If you want to be the best social media content creator, you shouldn't entertain working on big sets. Now you can learn things on multiple sets or multiple projects. So I would never say like, don't do something where you can learn. Don't agree to an opportunity that gives you the opportunity to meet new people and learn. But if you're going to be laser focused, if your goal is to be laser focused, then technically you could say, no, I'm only doing this. So my primary question is, what avenue do you want to take? And what are you leaning towards most? It's important to know. My second question to you would be, what do you want out of filmmaking? What's your goal? For me, my goal was provision. That was really it. And if you're trying to provide for yourself as a filmmaker, good luck. You're an artist. You're creating art. Filmmaking is an art. And if anyone knows anything about artists and art creation, it's that most of them are starving and not making money with their art because they're creative. They don't really understand the business side of things. Creatives don't really understand the business side of things. So you have to ask yourself, what do I want? Is it awards? Are you after Academy Awards? You want Oscars and Golden Globes? I'm not able to give you that kind of information on how to do that, but I can help you lean towards that direction if that's your goal. Are you after fame? Are you after impact? Are you trying to make a problem more well known? Are you after wealth and provision? So you have to answer that question. What do I want out of filmmaking? And if you're an artist and a creative who was born with the gifts and the talents, whatever it is you're gifted and talented at, lean into that, but really hone in and get clarity. You need clarity on why you're doing what you're doing. Why do you want to build a filmmaker brand? What's your goal? What are you after? That's super important to figure out. And I can help, but I'll never be able to figure it out 100% for you. And this is something that can change over time. It's not set in stone forever. You evolve as a human, especially as you start creating things and meeting new people, working on different projects and experiencing different things. You will evolve. But start with one or two words of what you want to do. So number one, pick an industry that you want to build your filmmaker brand in. What do I mean by pick an industry? So you're in film, but what kind of film do you want to pick? What kind of film do you want to work on? And do you want to lean into? What kind of film do you want your work to be produced by? Is it narrative? Is it commercial? Is it marketing? Is it social? Is it documentary? What kind of filmmaking do you want to lean into? And start there. Once you know your goals and why you're doing it too, once you know why you're aligning with those goals, it's really hard to get shaken when things get crazy because you know why you're doing something. Number one, that mindset, understanding that mindset portion of things is super important. Because without it, you're kind of gonna get washed away. You're gonna be building your home with a sand foundation. So a lot of the things that I'll mention in this video, they apply to whichever avenue you're looking to take. Now, like I said, I didn't take that traditional filmmaking route where, most of my mentors in the filmmaking space. They're independent filmmakers. They didn't necessarily take the academic route. Maybe you're already in the independent route, and that's fine. Maybe you're young and you're thinking about going to a university. That's fine too. However, I think universities are best for networking and connections and relationships, not necessarily for education. I think that they're the best for access to equipment and resources, and they're the best for reputation. So being able to go around and say, oh, I go to NYU studying film. There's a thing that follows you around when you're a part of a reputable university. You can use that as branding PR. That's helpful for you. So all that being said, I don't have that academic experience to be able to say, go to university, then get plugged into, a union, or get plugged into a network of individuals in LA or New York and build from there, and then join the Film Academy Association and, start going to these events and getting your hours in and getting your credits in and making films that apply to a specific criteria so that you can win these awards. I don't have that experience. There are people out there that have that experience. And if that's your goal, go DM them on Instagram. Attend a film festival that they're showcasing a new project at and talk to them at their Q&A. Meet them, talk to them. And if that's your goal, you want to listen to someone who has done that. But if your goal is just to make money with videos, I can help you. I did not track good finances when I was in high school. I did not track good finances. I didn't have good bookkeeping even in college and out of college. But at minimum, I can generously say that I've generated over $5 million gross revenue with just media production alone. And I've served as a grunt on set as a DP. I've served as a grunt as a still photographer, as an audio op, as an AC, as a coordinator. I've served all the grunt crew roles, and those are fun and they're engaging and you learn a lot and you can meet new people and learn new things. But I've learned the most producing my own work, producing jobs for clients is when I've learned the most and earned the most, that's great. I said it out loud. It sounds great. If your goal is to learn the most and earn the most, you need to produce. Okay? You need to produce. You need to produce. Produce your own stuff, produce stuff for other people. A producer is in charge of everything. They're in charge of client communication, of selling a project. How else are you going to learn how to better impact and make money more so than selling a project and listening to someone who has an idea, they need a video produced for them, or they need a video for a campaign they're running, or a video to communicate a story. They don't know how to film make. They don't know how to put a crew together that knows how to be in charge of cameras and lights and audio and actors and whatever it is. They don't know how to do any of that. They know they need the video to communicate something. They need a producer to put it together for them. And a producer isn't only in charge of rostering a crew and creating the final product. Producer is in charge of estimating the time it will take to produce a project, estimating the cost that it will take to produce a project. So what better way to learn than producing? Because you're constantly having conversations with people. Hey, we have this idea that we want to generate. We want to do it at this location. Do we need permits? Do we need permission? Are there time restrictions? Do we need any kind of security to block off these zones? How can we logistically get X amount of people in this spot? So for the location, that's a lot of questions to figure out. Okay, for crew, who can do this? Who's the best at, let's say your goal is to tell the story of how a young girl impacts her community by teaching underprivileged kids how to film make. And she brings her camera, she brings a drone, And she teaches them not just filmmaking, but filmmaking is an aspect of it. And you have to follow her around this underprivileged community. There's a lot of poverty. There's a lot of danger and crime. And what director directs that best? What director is comfortable working with kids? What director is comfortable being in not that safe location? What DP is most experienced working on sets with kids, or sets where you don't have 10 hours to set up a set, where you're running gun, where you have some tripods, maybe a reflector, you're running around outside and you're documenting something live. What DP is most experienced with that? These are questions that you have when we have to break for lunch. What catering company is willing to come bring XYZ? How much is this catering company going to charge per head? How much is this catering company going to charge per head? What are the logistics of getting the food there? Who's going to set it up? There's so many questions when it comes to filmmaking that I would say you actually learn the most when you're producing. When you're hired as a crew member, you learn stuff, but you don't see the whole picture. I'll say working as a production coordinator for various sets, even big budget sets, that's taught me the most about producing. Production coordinating, being exposed, production managing, and being exposed to finances, what everything costs, what everyone's day rates are, what everyone's half day rates are, what certain people are including certain things in their rates. That's incredibly informational. So not everyone is going to have that kind of experience when you're producing things, especially say you're just producing social media content for one YouTuber, or social media content for a few small businesses in your area. You're not necessarily going to have all of that overall experience, like all of that learning experience at once. But I will say that if your goal is to make money, you want to learn as much as possible as fast as possible. And if your goal is to make money, learning by producing is the best way to earn. And it just teaches you how to be a better negotiator, and it teaches you a lot about how filmmaking works and how the filmmaking industry operates. It will educate you incredibly, because your name is on the line, your reputation is on the line, your money is on the line. All the profit margins you build into a film set, client comes and they're like, I need this film produced. We need it produced by X date. You're like, okay, well, it'll cost 10 grand for locations, and maybe like 10 grand for food, and let's say 20 grand for crew. Maybe it's a skeleton crew. There's just a few people. Maybe you say, 10 grand for permitting, and this estimating 10 grand for permitting, and 10 grand for equipment, and then you're at 60 grand, so you say, okay, and then 40 grand for everything else, whatever, fees and blah, 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 blah. You produce a film and things go overtime, equipment breaks, expenses pop up that you didn't anticipate. Your margin of misc starts getting eaten away, and as a producer, you should have a producer fee and a markup for your project so that your business is making some money. If anything goes wrong that you had planned for, your profit margin starts to decrease. Now, what better way to learn from your mistakes than when you don't make any money? I really do value producing, because it's the fastest way to learn. Because how do you learn? There's no harsher way to learn. An only harsher way to learn would be if you would get physically harmed, if death was on the line. But losing your money, that's a great way to learn. Anticipating 10 grand in profit and then finishing a project and realizing you lost 5 grand instead out of your own pocket, it's like an incredible way to learn. You'll never make the same mistakes again. So, all that being said, when you're figuring out what you want to do as a filmmaker, my suggestion is to produce your own things and to produce for other people. And you might not everyone is a producer. So this isn't natural This isn't like a natural thing to do. However, if you want to grow your filmmaker business, you need to build the muscles and get the reps of producing, of being a little producer on your own, even if you're just producing your own things, because it teaches you and it'll ultimately lead to helping you make way more money. So when you're building all of this out, you need to get your name out there for what you're doing. And I only have one phrase to help you for this. One phrase as a filmmaker. And it applies to photographers, filmmakers, creators, literally anyone. You could be a plumber, you could be a landscaper. The way you grow your business is simple. Shoot and share. Shoot and share. When I was starting my portrait photography business in like 2019, I had a cheap $300 camera, I had a $99 lens. I didn't have a flash. And every single day I was in school. I was in college, so I had classes Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I think I had classes till 3 p.m. And Tuesday, Thursday, I had classes till 1. I did work study after classes most days. It might have been three or four of the days. So I only really had like an hour or two left outside of studying to do something else. And I remember scheduling and just DMing and texting friends and saying, hey, you know, I knew my goal was to build a photo business and to build out a portrait photography business. So I knew I needed to shoot as many people as possible. So my goal was, okay, well, I have to increase the frequency that I'm shooting. So I need to shoot as much as possible. So I would be DMing and texting friends like, hey, are you available tomorrow? Are you available next week? Can we meet at this park? Can we meet at this building? Can I take some photos of you? You can have all the photos. I just want to take them. And I remember shooting every single freaking day. Literally. Sometimes I would stack shoots and I would just shoot away. I'd be simultaneously learning equipment because I didn't get any formal education with cameras. So I'd be simultaneously learning and getting creative and building the muscles of working with people and shooting people. And I would shoot, I'd edit, and then I'd share. I'd post it on Instagram and Facebook. And I did that religiously. I was super disciplined about it. Now, I didn't do it like every single day. I didn't share something every single day. But I remember in 2020, it might have been 2019, 2018. Oh, my timelines are off. 2015 was when I started. That was my first year of college. So by 2019, I was wiser. I'd way more experience as a shooter. I've had many clients, not in a formal way, but I've had many clients ask me to hire me to produce photo and film video content for them. And by 2019, I remember telling myself, setting the goal that I wanted to post every single day, literally every single day. And that sharing aspect of things, now it's 2026, things are a little bit different. Social media platforms have changed a lot. There's 4.5 billion people have access to high-speed internet. So the amount of people that are on are at all-time high, and the amount of creators that are online are at all-time highs. But if you're creating good stuff and sharing it, you will grow. If you're creating stuff and sharing it and you're not growing, you need to look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, is this good stuff? Is what I'm creating good stuff? And that applies to yourself as a filmmaker. You have one of the best opportunities to grow on earth because you're in an industry where your work, your product, your final product is your advertising, is your marketing, is what you share. If you were a plumber, you'd have to, set up a phone on a tripod to film yourself plumbing. and film testimonials of clients. Oh, this plumber fixed my, Tony Plumbing fixed my toilet. I can flush it properly. And you have to post that stuff. Your work is your product that you can share. So share it. And it's a great feedback loop. Really, it is. If you're sharing your work and you grow, that means you're doing good work. So keep making good work that looks like that. But if you're sharing your work and you're not growing, there's not conversations happening where people are like, I want to hire you to do something. You're not getting Instagram DMs. You're not getting website inquiry forms. You're not getting text messages or phone calls of people asking to work for you, to work with you, to hire you to produce something. If that's not happening, that's feedback. That's feedback. Now, yes, people who create bad stuff there's an outlier. The 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle states that 20% of the filmmakers will do 80% of the work, which means that the other 20% of the reason that those 20% are doing 80% of the work is because they're doing things the best. They're marketing themselves the best. They're holding themselves the highest professionally. They're communicating the best. Their business practices are the best. Their final product is the best. They have great systems in place. Those 20% that do 80% of the film work are the best. But there's still 20% of other film work that's getting done by 80% of the worst filmmakers. So yeah, there are outlier situations. I know someone in the Lehigh Valley, I'm not going to name drop, but I know someone in the Lehigh Valley, terrible content creator, terrible filmmaker, absolute, from a technical level. I shouldn't say terrible. I would say outdated, very 80s style of filmmaking. From a technical level, very outdated style. But this person's generating work. Now, I don't know what the work costs. Is it free? I doubt it. But it's probably low budget. And the person's generating work. However, there's a lot of people who create good work that aren't generating work, that are just missing a few pieces of the puzzle, a few levels of professionalism, a few things to check off their list to ensure that they're growing as a business. So all that being said, you want to create a feedback loop with shooting and sharing. Shooting and sharing is how I generated $100,000 with a $400 camera kit as a photographer. I remember for every 10 shoots I was doing, one person would hit me up and say, hey, can I hire you to do this? And I remember when that started shifting, for every 5 shoots I was doing, 5 people were reaching out to hire me. And then for every 10 shoots I was doing, one of them was free. So shooting and sharing puts you in the position to put your best work out there and show the world what you do. If you're not sharing anything, how is anyone going to know you even exist? How is anyone going to know and trust that your work is good? And if your work's not good and no one's hitting you up, that's great, because that's good to learn. That's great feedback. So shooting and sharing needs to be done right. You have to be asking yourself, how do you share it well? Do you post everything? No. I can't tell you how many shoots I did. I have produced so many things that have never been shared with the world, because I look at it and I go, you know what, that doesn't meet the standard. That's not good. And there's some stuff that ends up getting posted that some might say like, oh, how does that meet the standard? That's not great. But for the most part, a lot of our above average work gets shared. And so you have to ask yourself, how do I share my work? Start by sharing your best stuff. Get feedback from your family. Get feedback from your friends before sharing it. Or just share it. Honestly, just share it and get feedback from real life, from the real people online. Get that feedback. Now, like I said, it's 2026. The algorithm really can discourage you. The algorithm can really discourage you. And I've seen some of the best work get low engagement, and that would be very discouraging for me as a creator. I mean, if you make, like, say you make Instagram Reels or Facebook Reels consistently, you know that you could put 100 hours of effort into a reel and it gets 12 views, and you create something in 7 seconds and post it because you're like, whatever, and it blows up. It doesn't make sense sometimes. Like, the algorithm isn't 100% fact when it comes to is what I'm sharing good based off of engagement. However, I truly believe, if people are DMing you, commenting on your stuff and DMing you and texting you and saying, hey, I saw your stuff, I really like that. My dad's construction company is looking to grow their business, and they don't have a brand story film about the owners and the history of their work, and they don't have any client testimonials, they don't have any kind of highlight footage of their stuff. How much would you charge to produce something like that? Oh, hey, let's hop on a call, let me learn more. That kind of conversation happening often for you is feedback that you're doing something right. And if it's not happening, you're not doing something right, and you need to figure out what that is. So, shooting and sharing is incredibly important. You need to have a strategy. You need to have a strategy that you stick to in terms of the time and the effort that you're going to be posting your content. It needs to feel natural, and it will give you the answer of, is my stuff good? Is the work that I'm producing good? Now, shooting and sharing is answering the question. When I say the statement, if you don't know what your next gig is, that is a problem. That's 100% true. If you don't know what your next gig is, that is a problem. And as a filmmaker, it's a gig industry. You're working project to project. Eventually, you have to build. If your goal is wealth, if your goal is financial freedom, time freedom, being able to travel, you need to build out your business. That's a different conversation. But if you're a filmmaking freelancer right now and you're going gig to gig, you need to understand that if someone says, what's your next gig? And you don't have an answer, if there is none, that's a problem. Your calendar needs to be I mean, I have multiple yearly calendars in front of me with projects listed throughout the entire year, all the way in. It's April 2026 right now. Oh, this is something that I never really gave thought to, but it is incredibly important. Being able to look ahead and schedule things into the future is an incredible way to succeed. I have projects lined up, over $200,000 of projects lined up into 2027. Into 2027. That's just with film work. I have different calendars for, different types of work. A calendar for event coverage, a calendar for portrait coverage, a calendar for weddings, and a calendar for film work. And I never really gave it thought that it's so important that you have a yearly calendar, multiple year calendars that lay out projects, and you need to schedule projects. If there's nothing going on during a specific time, don't sit around and twiddle your thumbs. You need to be creating. You need to be producing. You need to be making new connections, which is actually a great point. You need to be making more connections. So what do I mean by that? Hi, my name is Tony. Hi, I'm Joe. How are you? Connection. Hey, is this Joe? Yes. Oh, this is Tony. How are you? I'm good. What can I help you with? Connection. Instagram. Jay Alvarez. Hey, Jay. Love your work. Not a connection, but I just commented. Connection. Any kind of direct message conversation you can have with someone, that's a connection. When you post content and people comment on it, they like it, they share it, that's a connection. You need to connect more. Connect with other humans more. How else are you supposed to grow? Are you going to do business with robots? Maybe in 5 years you might be able to. But right now it's still a human game, which means you need to meet new humans, talk to more humans, work with more humans, engage with more humans, get more humans to engage with your work on social media. You want more money, you need to meet more people. You need to speak with more people. And that's not comfortable for everyone. I understand that. But I'm not asking you to do things that are comfortable. I'm telling you how to grow a filmmaker brand, how to grow a business. Some things you have to do might not be comfortable. I get nervous to do certain things. I still do them. I get uncomfortable to do certain things. I still do them. You have to overcome uncomfortability to grow a brand and to build a business. You need to. And if you're producing content and you're getting better at sales and you're getting good at sales, that's going to make you uncomfortable. Having conversations where people turn you down, where they push back on terms or on estimates, that's uncomfortable. Putting yourself in rooms where people are appearing to have way more, maybe they absolutely have way more achievements than you, way more experience than you, that's uncomfortable. I've been in rooms where people look down on you if you don't have, you didn't go to a specific school, you didn't have specific awards, you don't have specific achievements. That's uncomfortable. But that's how you grow. That's how you grow. You need to put yourself in uncomfortable positions as a filmmaker, growing in your space in order to grow. So yeah, maybe attend some filmmaker meetups in your local city, your local town. There is none, start one. If there's no filmmaking meetup in your city or in your town, start one. You're gonna get people coming out. You have to get uncomfortable to grow. You need to connect more to grow. Whatever the kind of connections, whether it's in person, it's digital, whatever it is, you need to connect with more people. Put more content out there that people can engage with, or engage with more people's content, and meet more people out in the real world. It's the best way to grow. It truly is. Now, from a traditional filmmaker's perspective, life hack, you want to succeed in the industry, go to LA, go to New York, go to Nashville, go to the big hubs. It's a cheat code. Sorry, I live in Macungie, Pennsylvania. I'm not going to grow as a filmmaker in Macungie, Pennsylvania. I can make money servicing clients, businesses, and individuals. I can make a lot of money doing it, but I'm not going to end up at the Academy Awards in Macungie, Pennsylvania. Los Angeles, yeah. New York, yeah. Nashville, yeah. That's where the opportunity happens. You have to put yourself in environments where opportunity is happening, which is another good point. You want to connect more, and you're a filmmaker. Where are you going to go to connect with people who have opportunity for you? Ask yourself that seriously. Just close your eyes and say, where are people looking to hire filmmakers? If you're in the commercial marketing industry, business expos. Wow. Business expos. Any industry. You attend a business expo and you just walk around and you talk to the business owners and the company reps at their vendor booths. $10 million. You'll generate $10 million if that's what you do regularly. As a filmmaker, $10 million, I guarantee it. That's not a joke. You have a room of people who are paying with their money and their time to sit in a small booth for the potential to talk to customers to generate more money for their business. You walk up to them, you say, hey, I can actually help you. You get to know them first. You never sell, by the way. You always just develop a relationship. One thing I learned in sales is most of the sales that I've generated happened from natural relationships. So if I went into an expo and I wanted to generate more, leads and projects, I'm not going around saying, I make films for businesses. I create marketing content for businesses. I help businesses grow online. I'm not starting like that. I'm starting by asking that person everything about themselves and their company. And I'm going to show that I actually care. I'm not going to be fake about it. I'm going to show that I'm genuinely curious. If you're not curious, you'll obviously come off as ingenuine. So have some curiosity about who you're speaking with and what they do and what their company is about. Have some curiosity about their problems. You could help them. Most people just want to help people. So genuinely talk to someone and develop a relationship, get their contact information, and genuinely follow up with them and keep up with them and keep in the loop. Because eventually, if you're shooting and sharing and posting content enough, and you're positioning yourself and your brand properly, someone's going to go, oh, Tony's a filmmaker who makes commercial films for businesses. And I recently saw a few testimonials and case studies that he posted of clients where they made, last year we generated, that was a great client success. Super easy job. This obviously easy. It felt too easy to produce, but there was a wedding venue that needed, she came to me and said she has had zero scheduled tours in 6 months, little to no inquiries, 0 scheduled tours in 6 months. And she wanted to know what kind of ideas that I had to help generate some business for her, because I mentioned it, this is the first time we're speaking. I mentioned it probably a dozen conversations ago, and it took her a little to be comfortable with it, which is a lesson. Not everyone's willing to buy your service and pay for your service now. Sometimes time is the only thing that it's going to take in order for them to feel ready. So she came to me and said, I've had 0 scheduled tours in 6 months. We've had little to no leads. I really need to grow this business. I feel like it's running dry. It's a wedding venue. So I said, okay. And I looked at her stuff. She didn't have a great website. She's 0 social presence. Gold mine opportunity. And she didn't have any kind of professional photography or professional film, video highlights of her space. So I proposed a simple plan. I was like, let's take a half day to shoot your place. We'll take a few days to edit a lot of content up for you, and let's schedule posts of your stuff. And maybe we could boost a post or whatever on Facebook. But I said, at minimum, let's just capture this stuff and post it organically on Facebook. She didn't even have an Instagram. And let's see what happens. So we took a half day. Very easy, like real estate styled coverage, real estate walkthrough coverage. And we edited some really decent stuff together. And then she gave us access to her social media, and we managed it for her. We didn't charge her a lot for the management portion because we just wanted to see if it was going to be successful. And in 41 days, from when we started posting to 41 days later, she had called us up, said, hey, I just wanted to let you know. Now, we saw the content blow the freak up, by the way, on Facebook. The highlight video we created, which I created like 3 versions, but the highlight video we produced got so many views and so much engagement, so many comments and so many shares that we knew, and we could see the DMs too. We saw people, hey, I'd like to schedule a tour. Hey, I'd like to schedule a tour. She called me up and she said, hey, I just wanted to let you know that just since you guys started posting, I forget the total number of weddings she ended up signing, but it came to something, she said, that we've generated over $250,000 for her business. And it's just her and her husband. They don't have a team. An extra 250 grand in under 2 months, 40 days, just from some video content. We added stills in there, but there are other aspects of applying, which is a good lesson in its own. You need to understand that film is really one piece of the puzzle to helping people out. I think that the most unsuccessful starving artists create the best films and then they don't know how to use it. They don't know what to freaking do with it. If we had just filmed something for her and say we just gave her raw files, she really wouldn't have known what to do. But say we filmed something for her, we edited it for her, and we gave it to her, this old woman probably wouldn't have known how to post it, let alone how to comment with people and share it to pages or whatever. You need to have these type of things posted on your account, because when someone's ready to buy, they'll see that success story. They'll see a success story and go, yo, I saw you made 250 grand for, that wedding venue owner. And we're kind of in the same position. We want to generate more business. Can you help? Can we have a conversation? So you'll actually be amazed by what kind of conversations are sparked and what kind of relationships are, what kind of connections happen from specific relationships, because it's kind of an unpredictable thing. So the only thing you could do to control that is to spark more conversations with more people. Meet more people. Now, I'm not saying go shoot events for free, but if you want to meet more people and feel like an authority doing so, nothing makes you feel better than shooting an event with gear in your hand. Oh, I see you shoot events often. Do you do that? Would you shoot my next event? Someone comes up to you, they start sparking conversation like that. Boom. If you don't know where your next gig, if you don't know when your next gig is, you have a problem. So you need to be putting yourself in the position to connect more. And your social life, your digital social life, your digital presence needs to be in check, so that when you make these connections and people land on your stuff, they go to your social profiles, they're able to go, oh, this person's a filmmaker. Oh, that's really good stuff. Oh, I see that success story. This is simple stuff. Very simple stuff. You want to, if your goal is to be the best filmmaker, follow the best filmmakers, follow those mentors, create their work, be the best artist. But if your goal is to build a business, do these things I'm telling you. Make more connections. And make sure that you're presenting yourself to the world how you would like to be presented. If people are only asking you for photo work and you're like, no, but I'm a filmmaker, let's look at your Instagram. Photo work. Where's your film work? I'm looking for a commercial filmmaker. Oh yeah, I could do that. Oh, what's your Instagram? Birthday party, birthday party, birthday party, birthday party, birthday party. All you post are birthday parties. So, yeah, there's a balance. Like, say you're only getting jobs of a specific genre that are paying the bills, but that aren't what you want to be presented at, don't post them. Sorry, that's just, you're going to generate more work with what you post. You're going to attract to you what you put out, which is why niche brands are so important. I learned that with our wedding photo and video business. When we had an overarching media production business, we were getting inquiries from everyone about everything. And our first niche business on digitally was a wedding business. And the leads were incredible. And the inquiries were so condensed that it taught me, oh, we need niche businesses. And I started, that was with a new Instagram and a new URL. Then I made another new Instagram and new URL for our headshot portrait studio. Then a new Instagram and a new URL for just commercial film production. Then the people inquiring for those things were only looking for those things, because we were presenting that niche and we were attracting people who need that work. So, all that being said, you need to understand that you have to be very picky about what you share, because you're going to attract people who want that stuff or that like looking at this stuff. But in terms of running a business, you're going to attract people who are going to be hiring you for that one thing. Does that make sense? So, I think it's important to have a human aspect to your business as well. Post your face. Talk. I know not everyone is comfortable talking on camera, but talk on camera and post that on social media. Engage with people on social media. I think people overthink like social. It feels weird to them, but it's very normal and it's very natural to just talk on camera. All of my favorite creators online talk on camera because I feel like I'm talking to them. Don't overthink it. Before I wrap up here, which, by the way, if I haven't shared enough value to you, for you at this point. If I have not shared enough value and you feel like you need more, DM me and let me know that. That literally doesn't faze me whatsoever. I want to help you grow. I want to help you learn. That stuff is super important to me. For you to be able to reach out and say like, hey, like I didn't gain what I wanted to gain from that conversation. I need a little bit more. That's super helpful for me. Let me see if I missed anything here. There's a lot more I could go in depth about when it comes to growing on social, the type of content that does the best on social, how to structure your business, the systems you should build out for your business that help make you more efficient and that optimize your ability to, do the best things that you do best most times. My businesses were always slowing down whenever I was put in the seat of dealing with admin things, contracts, emails, schedules, anything logistical and organizational. Whenever I had post-production, which I love post-production, but whenever I was editing a project, all of my time and energy was put in front of a screen, focusing on a project. I wasn't able to focus on managing and running and putting out fires of a business. So there's so many more things that I could speak about when it comes to business, but I wanted to make sure that you walked away. If you walked away from this video with anything, it's that you realize that there's a mindset element to growing your brand and growing your business. You really have to figure out sooner than later why you're doing it and what your main goal is. It's incredibly important. And once you do that, you really just need to connect more, connect with way more people, make way more connections, and just shoot and share and get your name out there, get your work out there, because the stuff will snowball. The stuff will end up snowballing on its own. So I hope you gained a little bit from this video. If you still need more, DM me and let's just have a phone call, a conversation. Let me help you diagnose what's going wrong with your brand growth. And either way, thank you for watching.